Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's training where we're going to be talking about the future of marketing data. We're going to be talking about MCPs. We're going to be talking about server-side tagging, and we're going to be having a lot of fun. So hopefully you all are excited about this, as excited as we are. There's some stuff that we're unveiling that we've never shown before. We've only shown it internally, and really it was a lot of fun. I'm going to hand this over to Manisha in a little bit here, but I just want to set the tone for why we're here today. So, a few things. One is that tracking is broken, and most marketers don't even realize it, or they've been ignoring it, or maybe we just haven't been paying as much attention because we've been bombarded with all the AI stuff. But what worked 3 years ago in the world of data and tracking is already obsolete. And there's a lot of things that have changed. If you haven't been studying this stuff very closely, a lot of stuff has changed recently that allows us to reframe how we think about this world. And there's some new technologies that came out. We talk about MCPs. That's basically how we got you here, is to talk about MCPs. Did you know that the Model Context Protocol wasn't even introduced in 2024? It was a 2025 thing. So it's like a hot off the presses technology. They announced the Model Context Protocol in January of this year. And it took a while for it to be adopted as well. So it's not even talking about 3 years ago stuff. Like there's new stuff happening right now that's really interesting. Manisha's going to give you a timeline about the whole server side tracking and how it worked and how it's been. And we're just going to help you really reframe how you think about this stuff and give you some actionable takeaways you can take out of this as well. You're here because you know that you want marketing data you can trust, but the privacy rules keep on shifting. Browsers block your tags, whether you know it or not. Manisha's even going to show you that too. Ad platforms, they're blind because their pixels are meant to be done client side, and they're not sure when it gets blocked or not. And so they're clawing back as much data as they can, and your reports don't add up. Today, you're going to see the future of measurement, or at least how we see the future of measurement. It might be the present of measurement for some of you, but a lot of you, it might be the future that you're guiding yourself to. So, as you probably know about MeasureU, over 10,000 people have taken our courses and sign up for them. A lot of them on our lively community over at MeasureU. We've helped brands with our done for you services fix their tracking across Google, Meta ads, everything. Basically, we breathe and live and breathe advanced tracking and AI solutions every single day. We are an AI first business. We made that commitment. We started dabbling in it over the last few years, like everybody else, but we made a hard commitment to start the year that we are AI first. And so we don't even let people bring up an idea if they haven't consulted AI first to see if that is the right way to look at things. And we have a thriving community of measurement professionals on the MeasureU platform, and many of you are on here today. So today you're gonna discover is what are MCPs, how do they work, how MCP servers can help them with your measurement implementation in a breeze, why server-side tagging is the only future-proof path, and the benefits of using Stape for server-side tracking as well. Because the window of the old way is closing. We already talked about it. Browsers and privacy requirements will only get stricter. Ad platforms can't give you all the answers you need with their dated tracking techniques. Technology like AI is making you superhuman, but the thing is, how long is, you still need to have the human in the loop. You still need to have that human expertise, but is that always going to be that way? Or are AI agents going to take over a lot of things? It remains to be seen. I think you're always going to need to have a human in the loop. But what if everybody else can use the same AI as you? How do you have that competitive advantage? Right now, the competitive advantage is in using AI along with your expertise together, combined, in order to act like a superhuman. And I really do believe that AI, if you do it the right way, can make you feel like a superhuman. I feel bionic all the time when I'm using AI and getting the results that I'm looking for. It doesn't happen every single time, but I get that feeling multiple times a week, and I hope you do too. And competitors are adopting now, that are adopting now are going to be the ones that pull ahead. So, with that out of the way, are you ready to see MCPs and server side in action? Manisha, I'm going to hand this one over to you, and you're going to talk about some of your discoveries.
All righty. I am so excited to be here. Thank you all, everyone who's joined. So I'm excited to talk to you guys a bit about MCPs and then about server-side tracking. So let's dive into what does MCP mean? I am sure you've seen the acronym if you're anywhere on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere on this globe right now. So it stands for Model Context Protocol. It is the standard way for your LMs to access your tools and your information. Basically, it's a way for them to get access to your information and tools for your business. The key with MCPs is it's a way to speed up routine tasks. because the LLM has access to your information and your tools, it can execute tasks for you. Now, I want to go through an example because I had a hard time getting my head around how MCPs work. And the example on LinkedIn that I run across all the time is comparing MCP to USB-C, right? And being like, it's like USB-C port. I personally am not a big fan of that example. I spent a long time reading that one, and I'm like, I still don't totally see the match. But I want to kind of compare the world when we had LLMs and we didn't have MCPs to now that we have LLMs and we have MCPs with them. So let's talk about the world when we just had LLMs. Think like 2024, right? Like last year, July, right? You had Claude or ChatGPT, whichever LLM you favor that you're in, and you tell it, hey, let's schedule a meeting for 30 minutes with Tim next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Right? You tell it that, and the model, the LLM thinks it looks at this request and thinks, and it outputs text, right? And we've all seen this, right? It gives you text, and truth be told, these are instructions. It is telling me, okay, you need to go send Tim an invite. You got to go find your calendar application of choice, Manisha. Then you got to find his email address. Then you got to schedule it and include the meeting details. So that's a task I need to do now. It's a routine task I need to do. I need to go schedule a meeting with Tim. So I got to open my Google Calendar and do all the clicking. And I can do that. And I really don't need the LLM to give me instructions, right? So let's talk about life when the LLM has an MCP server attached to it, because this is when I find it's powerful. So you got your LLM. My, flavor of choice is Claude. And out there in the globe, you have your MCP server, right? And this MCP server happens to have tools attached to it. And the tools it has is contacts and calendars, meaning that it has access to all the email addresses, right, that I have in my contacts, and it has access to my calendar, okay? Now, the LLM and the MCP can talk to each other, okay? And I can go to my LLM. And I'm going to say the same thing. Hey, schedule a 30-minute meeting with Tim next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Now what happens is so important. First, the LLM analyzes the request, and it starts to identify the tools it needs. The MCP server responds and says, I got 2 tools for you. I got a contacts tool and a calendar tool. The LLM thinks, can I use these tools? Can I really use these tools? And it's like, oh, I can. Okay, I'm going to make a plan of action. So now it's planning in its brain. It's thinking. And then finally, it tells the MCP server what to do. The MCP server does it. And it sends back a response and says, guess what? Your meeting with Tim has been scheduled for next Wednesday for 30 minutes, 5 p.m. That is the power of MCPs. It has executed a routine task for me. Now, let's take this example and understand the three words, model, context, protocol, right? The model is the thinking. It is when the LLM is thinking through actions. It is when the LLM is planning, executing, right? Context is information. And it's not just the information it gets from the MCP server. It is your prompts, the system prompts. It is any information the LLM has access to at the time that it is thinking, right? It's using that information. The protocol is the part I think everybody focuses on. Is the protocol is the standard way the LLM and the MCP talk to each other. So let's summarize model, context, protocol. The model is a thinking. Whenever you hear model, think brain thinking. That'd be like us planning to do something. Context is all the information you're giving to the AI to do its job, right? This could be, and very much going to speak about this, MCP servers that connect to your measurement applications, okay? Or it could be information, your calendars, your contacts, right? And finally, protocol. It's the universal language that basically the standards had agreed on how LLMs and tools are going to talk to each other. So MCP is your AI, your tools, and the communication back and forth. That's kind of like the formula you can keep in your head to remember what MCP means. Okay, so you must be wondering, well, why am I talking about this now? Like, why is this important? Why should I even listen to this? So if you've ever played around with an API because you want to get data out of a system quickly, or you want to automate anything, say you want to automate, creating of tags or setting consent settings on your Google Tag Manager tags. Trust me, I'm pretty sure if Fred was in the audience, he's laughing right now, my co-instructor. If you've ever done that, it's a lot of manual work sometimes, right? Well, say if you could do that in an automated way and you didn't have to wrangle that API or write that custom script, right? That's the biggest thing. It's going to save you time. And it's already saving me time, I'll be honest. You can work across your tools from one unified place. Imagine if Claude wasn't just your copywriter. Imagine if you could also use it to do a Google Tag Manager audit, So when Jeff's bringing me a client, I could easily be like, oh, let me just understand this container quickly in 10 minutes, right? Imagine if one tool, one subscription was the thing you used. Instead of having 5 tools to do 5 things, you now have one tool that does 5 things. And then finally getting ahead of the curve. Jeff mentioned MCP servers really just started making their debut early this year. End of last year was when Anthropic came out with the standard early this year, and we've only seen measurement ones come out in the last few months. So getting ahead of the curve, knowing of it, and knowing that there are tools out there for you to use. Alrighty, there's marketers in this audience. You must be wondering, hey, what MCP servers are there for us? So let's talk about those. Number one is Stape's Google Tag Manager MCP. I have to say, this is my favorite MCP server. Okay. I actually just used this yesterday and this morning. I had to update, it's a little story here. I had to update consent settings for 29 tags in a client's container. And I sat there and I'm like, I'm going to do this with the MCP server. And what would have taken me 45 minutes took me 10 minutes. So I was really happy. Okay. So MCP server is completely free. You can download it, get it set up. I will say there are some little things you need to figure out when you're setting it up, but we have went through that pain. So in our workshop that Jeff's going to talk about, we're going to, save you that pain. So here's something I did. I went to Claude and I said, hey, create me a new container with basic tracking in place. And I told it basic tracking is, click and scroll and, page view. A few minutes later, I have a new container set up in my Google Tag Manager account. In the account, I told it to create in. With the name, I told it to create with click, scroll, and page view tag set up. That was awesome. Like that was a win. Well, it got better. So, this actually didn't work. I'm going to be honest with you. This didn't work. I'm going to say about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And Stape was super, super cooperative with us. We actually worked closely with their founder, Dennis, and we got this to work where I was able to go to Claude and say, here's a container, has 100 tags in it. Do an audit for me. And I'll put it in a Google Sheet. And I got an audit in a Google Sheet. And I didn't just get, here's a list of tags and triggers. I got the tags, I got the type, I got the category, I got blocking triggers, I got consent settings, I got priority, I got the sequencing. And I was like, oh, there's sequencing in here. Well, this is an advanced client. But I also got recommendations. If you look at the last column there, Claude also thought about each tag and gave me some recommendations. And it's telling me, hey, you may want to look at that first tag there. There's no triggers. And I'd be like, well, that's interesting. Why are there no triggers in that tag? Now, lo and behold, some of you may know that is the old measurement marketing.io container. So it was good to go on at that. But this is when you get the power of an MCP server, because now I can have Jeff reach out to me or Julie reach out to me. It's like, hey, this client is thinking about, we're thinking of signing this client. Okay, just tell them to give access to our container and we'll dive in. And in 10 minutes, I can go from here's a new container to, okay, here's a sheet with all the tags and triggers in it, some recommendations. And I can maybe even ask it, hey, if we were to sign this client or do some work, what are the top 5 wins I can implement in the first, 2 days? And it would give you that. It would actually give you that. Now, would I take that verbatim for what it says? Chances are no, because I'm a professional, but it's helping me go faster. Okay, let's talk about Stape's very own MCP server. So Stape is, I'm going to talk about it in a bit, but it's a place you can host your server for Google Tag Manager. Great use case here is you go from new server container to a Stape server setup. Basically, you prompt it and you say, hey, I want you to set up a new server container in my Google Tag Manager account, and I want you on the other side to set up a Stape server. Well, you prompt it, you let Claude do its thing, and bang, I have a new server set up in Stape, and I have a new server container set up in the right account in Google Tag Manager. The big win is they are set up to talk to each other. So the configuration was taken care of. And the Stape server is set up in the zone I told it to. So it's basically done my server setup. I can go in and configure a custom domain, or I can even use the MCP to do that. Okay, and then just a couple of weeks ago, I feel like this was middle of August or maybe end of August, that Google Analytics came out with their own MCP server. Now, I am not going to lie, their setup was not the easiest. And any one of these MCP servers have these weird things where like the setup works on Windows, but on a Mac, or works on Mac and not on Windows. But like I said, I went through all that pain and those hours of trying to figure that out. So, we're going to give you those wins. But I can go to Claude now and say, I want you to analyze specific events for a 2-week period, ISO 2 ISO weeks, and show me the difference. And it does that. And now I can be like, because I was suspecting something was going on with the accelerator ask, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to go check this out. Like, I really got to go look at what's going on here and why accelerator ask is not firing, because I'm guessing Julie or me played around with it for teaching and we broke it, which does happen. if you're part of one of our trainings, you've definitely seen us break things. Now, MCP servers are the future. And I will say, like, I'm using them right now. Like, I literally yesterday was like, I have to update consent for 25, like 28 tags. Yeah, I could do that, but LLM can do that for me. And then I can just go TBV it, like trust but verify it, right? They are the future. That said, the MCP server is only as good as the data and permissions you give it access to. Remember, it is doing work on behalf of you, and the access you give it and the data you give it access to. And good data in means good data out. Good setup in means good setup out, right? So how do you get reliable and robust data? Like you must be wondering that, right? Like how do I get reliable tracking? How do I get, robust data from my client, right? Because every client has asked us that question, right? Server-side tagging. That's where it comes in, server-side tagging. And we are very much moving down that server-side tagging route. Okay, so what is server-side tagging? You must be wondering, like, what is this? Okay, and you most likely heard of it a few times, but let's really talk about it. So we are all familiar with browser-side tagging. I'm pretty sure many of you have set up either server-side or browser-side tracking. Browser-side tracking is all about the browser communicating with the tools that you connected to, GA4, Facebook ads, Google ads. And it's the browser sending data off to that platform, right? It's the browser saying, oh, I'm sending this off to this person, right? Well, server-side tagging is different because the server does it, which means that, it's the server deciding what data goes to what platforms. It's the server saying, okay, we can send email to Facebook or we can't send emails. So you have that control over your data. And now you're not reliant on the browser doing everything and you're not restricted by the browser limitations. Additionally, it gives you the chance to enrich or filter or eliminate data, right? We know that sometimes we have to take email out or take address out or, add in customer lifetime value. Maybe you can't send email, but you can send customer lifetime value, right? So maybe you can send Facebook customer lifetime value and be like, this customer is worth $100 versus this other customer is worth $5, right? And be sending that to Facebook so the algorithm can take that into account. Well, let's talk a little bit about the history of server-side tagging. So it came out in August 2020. That's when it made its public beta. About a year later is when Stape came out, and they came out as the alternative to where to host your server. Okay. In the next 2-year period, there was like two big things happened. One, Google launched transformations, and the entire server-side community was like, oh my God, thank you so much, because that gave us the ability to enrich and filter data, right? At that same time, Stape grew to 100,000 customers and scaled to have EU hosting, which is super important because I know I have my EU friends in the audience. I saw you guys there at the start, right? You need to host in EU. Stape has that, right? So that makes it super easy for you to host. So let's just compare the two side by side so we remember the two and the biggest difference. So client-side tracking, and we've all set this up. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have set this up. We know there's data loss there. There is about between a 25 to 50% data loss, and it's because there's tracking restrictions. Now, truth be told, a lot of these tracking restrictions are not even aware to the users that they're blocking Tag Manager. The end user doesn't know that. They're installing an ad blocker from the Chrome Web Store. There's many ad blockers that you can install that block banner ads, but unfortunately they block Google Tag Manager too, which sucks because we're affected, right? And that results in less data for us and less data for the client. Now, multiple scripts on the page. If you have Facebook loading and Google Ads loading and TikTok and LinkedIn and GA4, you have all these scripts loading. Well, now your page is slower, right? And we've always dealt with that client who said, well, I'm not putting GTM on the site because it's going to slow my site down, right? Well, there's a way around that, right? And finally, limited control of your data. It is the browser controlling what's sent to those other platforms. You don't have that much control over it because it's the browser deciding what to send. On the flip side, you have server-side tracking. Server-side tracking does give you more data because it has the resiliency around ad blockers. Now, I'm not saying we're going to break consent, no, but we are going to get around some ad blockers, and Stape has some functionality to do that, okay? Plus, you're in a first-party context, which means you're going to have more reliable tracking, right? You have improved page load time because you don't have all those scripts loading on your page, and you don't have the browser sending all the data over. You now have the ability to basically have your server take that heavy load off. And finally, you have more control over your data. You can decide to enrich your data. You can decide to add or filter data as needed. Now, why server-side tracking now? So one thing we all have experienced or heard of, or if you're on LinkedIn for 5 minutes, privacy compliance is definitely out there. You need to meet certain privacy compliances. You may need to filter data or add data, but we know privacy compliance is changing day by day, right? So with that said, you need your tracking to continue growing so that you can work within that compliance. The ability for longer cookie lifetimes. That is definitely something that we're all feeling. ITP limits are coming, and they're changing every few months. You want the ability to extend your cookies, and Stape has a great way of doing that, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Finally, allows more reliable data collection because you're on a server and because you're on that first-party context. And finally, reduces scripts on the page. We talked about that. Less scripts mean faster load times. Okay, so I've mentioned the word Stape. What is Stape? So the first thing I love about Stape is they host your Google Tag Manager server, not the actual container, but the server the container is going to use. And why is that important? When you host a container in Google Cloud, if there's a security patch or an update, you have to go redeploy in Cloud Run, okay? Which is yet another thing. And I think I saw a post this morning where it was like, oh yeah, you just got to go redeploy in Cloud Run. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll get to that, right? And I just another technical debt on my plate, right? That I'll get to as a marketer, right? But imagine if State's handling all that because that's their job. They're doing the security patches, the updates, and all that for you, okay? Keep Google Cloud set up. Okay, that's just the one reason to use it, in my opinion. You can get your server stood up in a few minutes. You can get your custom domain set up in a few minutes to an hour, depending how long verification takes. But it's not you sitting there toggling around in Google Cloud. And I'm not the biggest fan of Google Cloud. I like using it. I will use it because I am more techie. But technically speaking, if I can have the server stood up faster, why not, right? And finally, they call it power-ups. They have advanced tools that basically reduce the interference of ad blockers. And I'm going to talk about those and show you what's out there. Now, don't take my word for it. Numbers don't lie. And we're all numbers people, so numbers don't lie. These are their numbers directly from Stape's website. Like you can look at us right now with 200,000 plus clients and 25 plus server zones. They have the zones covered, right? So if you need to host that server in EU or Germany, right? You can host that server there. Go look at the zones, see what zones they have. If they don't have it, reach out to them, right? Let's just do a quick side-by-side comparison. So Google Cloud, I will not disagree that it's flexible and scalable, but I will say you have to maintain that, or you need someone on staff to maintain that, and it's more technical. If you've ever been in Google Cloud, you definitely have been in IAM roles and sat there and said, what access does somebody need? Is it this one or that one? And before you know it, you're in an access nightmare. Usage-based pricing. If all of a sudden you have a spike of traffic from a bot or from a sale, you're paying for that increase, right? And then finally, they have good documentation, but only paid support, and it's limited. I haven't had much success with Google support unless I'm dealing with a really big client that definitely has the money and Google's looking at them. I'd be curious to know if anybody has had really good support from Google. But that's one of the downsides is the support side. On the flip side, Stape is built for marketers. You have your server standing and they handle the updates. They have subscription-based pricing and you can start completely for free. Like you can go and sign up for Stape and start completely for free. And they have 24/7 support and they have EU hosting options. And their support is truly 24/7. They will respond to you. Couple things we did on Stape. So Stape has a great setup for WordPress. Here's one we taught in about 20 minutes. They have a plugin for WordPress. So you just install the plugin and you get your client side GTM on WordPress. And getting your server is like 10 minutes and your server stood up and ready to go. And then you can set up power-ups and do all that fun stuff. Flip side, Shopify. We definitely have Shopify as well. They have an app for that. You can quickly get that set up again, get your server set up, get your power-up set up, right? Now, in addition to making it fast for the server, they also have Google Tag Manager templates you can use. So you just download these templates, you import the container template into your GTM. And as you can see, I had like, a dozen tags there set up pretty quickly. I was really happy because it's like, bang, there you go. Your WooCommerce is set up in server side. Yay, I just need to go TVV it, trust but verify it. They did the same thing you can see there's about 2 dozen tags here for web. This is the web container, right? I was able to you can see GA4, meta, data tags all set up. And I love the fact that they did folders and it's all taken care of in that sense. And it was like minutes to just go download this container from GitHub and just import it here. It was really quick. Alrighty. So the hardest thing to do with server-side tracking is showing the benefit of server-side tracking to your client. And we talk about this in our course, okay? Stape has done a great job of making this something we can physically go show our client in their server container. We go to Stape Analytics, we open it up, and bang, it's right there, right? I love bringing this up about 10 days, maybe 30 days after we go live with a client on server side and being like, hey, I just want to show you something. These are not to get around consent, but these are cases where, we could have tracked, but because of some Chrome extension or something like that, we couldn't, right? And we were able to get around it. Here's why. Now, we always do check with our clients before we turn this on, which is awesome, right? They have a say in turning on. And they all do tend to be like, yeah, we can turn it on. We've spoken to the right people, right? But showing this benefit is so critical because, we know it's hard to show this benefit. And when you show this benefit, it's like the client's like, yeah, great. We found a benefit out of this really quickly. Now, I mentioned the word power-ups a few times. So what are power-ups? There are little features you can turn on quickly that, enhance your server-side setup. One of them in the top right-hand corner, there's Cookie Keeper. So if you need to extend the life of your Facebook cookie, your Google Ads cookie, or any of those, instead of setting up tags and playing with config or writing a custom script, you basically click on the use button, and then there's a couple of clicks, and you click on save, and that's it. Like, it's not this big, crazy setup that you have to do that's going to take you 5 hours, right? Or 3 hours. This is like a couple of clicks, and you're there. And that's the benefit of Stape, is they have these things quickly enabled because they built it for marketers. Now, I talked a lot about the benefits, but let's look at case studies, right? And these are directly from Stape's website. This is like Stape's website right here, guys. They have about a dozen or so case studies on their website. For example, they had one client where server-side tracking, their Google Ads tracking increased conversions by 36% for Shopify. If you as an agency or as a consultant deliver that kind of increase, consider how valuable you are to the client. Another client, and this one I personally love because I'm actually using this to work with one of our clients who has a lot of direct traffic, and we're moving them to server side exactly for this reason. Like, they have so much direct traffic. And I was talking to Stape. We're partners. We have a direct contact with Stape. I speak to Dan. He's in the audience today. I speak to Dan directly, and I was talking to him about this a few months ago. Okay, we need to cut down this client's direct traffic. How do we do this? We're going to switch them to server side, and this is an exact case. They reduced direct traffic by going to server side by 40%. Like, this is exactly what I'm trying to achieve for one of our clients, right, who came to us, right? And just from that same case study, here's a couple of, just other wins. In addition to, reducing direct traffic, they increased, Google Ads revenue by 9% and email marketing revenue by 13%. And you're making yourself invaluable to the client when you do these kind of things, right? So when you're thinking server-side tracking, you're thinking Stape, when you put the two together, you get that benefit of reliable tracking. You get the lower cost because you got that predictable base pricing. And the biggest thing is a less technical hassle. You don't want to be sitting there fiddling around with infrastructure, right? Cloud does have that way of, I got to go here, I got to go there. I got to spend 5 minutes in ChatGPT or Claude to figure out which screen I'm going to or how I'm going to grant somebody access. You want to focus on the marketing, not the infrastructure. If you have somebody focus on the infrastructure, you're paying that individual. Well, why not just pay a little subscription fee to Stape and they handle the infrastructure for you, right? So a couple key takeaways from today. Remember, I started talking about MCP servers, right? And I talked about how they're going to make your LLMs connect to your marketing tools. And you connect them and you decide which ones to connect, right? There are some challenges in getting them connected. I'm not going to lie. I had my fair share of, I wanted to pull my hair out, but I did the hair pulling out so you guys don't have to, okay? Server-side tagging builds a foundation that makes the MCP server more powerful. Once you get server-side tagging set up, you have good data, which means the answers from your MCP servers are better, right? And then you can also use the MCP server to set up things in Tag Manager. I am right now using it. Like, whenever I get a task that involves GTM, I now stop and ask myself, can the MCP server do this? And if I can explain it in plain English and I know how to validate it, then I'm giving it to the MCP server and I'm doing something else while Claude's doing that work. And finally, early adoption of MCP servers. It is just the beginning. They just came out like end of last year, early this year. They're really starting to gain traction now. So the truth is, they're only going to get better. What AI is today, it's not what it was a year ago, guys. We all know that. Like, ChatGPT wasn't what it is today, what it was a year ago. So where do you think MCPs are going to be a year from now? They're going to be 10 times better. For all I know, they're not going to take our jobs, but they're going to help us go faster. There you go. That's all. Back to you, Jeff.
I love it. Thanks again, Manisha. That was great. Manisha has a sick kid at home, so she's doing this thing as a rock star. So she'll be here for the rest of the hour as well. But I want to talk to you a little bit about how to activate this. And the cool thing is Dan from Stape is on this call, and he mentioned that they are already making improvements. So Manisha, I want to give her all the credit. She took the Stape MCP server and broke it, and then said, Stape, hey, this is broken. And they're like, oh, we didn't even know that was happening. And then they fixed it in a couple days. And then
Yep.
she's like, okay, well, I broke it again. They're like, okay, well, we fixed it. And this is like the level of iteration that's happening now, when we talk about being on the cutting edge, I don't know if I can give a better example than that. Is that like it's out, they released it, and they wanted people to use it. She's given them the feedback and they're making it better. And that's how things are innovating right now. It's not like you can't just wait around until everything is perfect. You sort of have to just dip your toe in the water. And I know it's challenging though to do that because we're busy. Like we don't have time for this. Manisha's been working her butt off, working more hours than she wants to work, doing this stuff. But it's also like it's so much fun that
It
it's like the
is.
fun hours. It's the
Oh my
research and
God. It's,
development hours doing this stuff.
I have to say, whenever I get a GTM task, I'm almost giddy because I'm like, ooh, let's see if the MCP server can do it. Let's see, let's see, let's see. And I'm at the point now where I want GTM tasks just to be like, can I break this thing again?
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the idea of like the year paradigm. It's like this thing hasn't even been around for a year, but it's gonna like a year from now, it's gonna really be
Oh yeah.
the thing that defines anybody who does this for clients, anybody who does this at their company, anybody who needs to be more efficient, like who has the domain knowledge but just wants to make themselves more efficient. That's really what the MCPs are about, what server side is about, what Stape helps happen. And so yeah, are you guys ready to learn this? Are you I see Nuno is very impressed. Marl says excellent. Alex is very impressed with Stape. So awesome that everybody is excited about this thing. And so we are too. And honestly, you've just seen what's possible. The things like MCPs plus Stape, it simplifies your advanced setups. They really are hand in hand. As you can see, it's hard to separate one from the other. Like Stape is fantastic, but them having an MCP that they built allows you to get things back into Stape. So all the reasons you might have to delay this or to not implement server side, like they sort of go away when this thing is all in place and when you can configure it in that way. Server-side tagging, it's not just a theory. It's not just only for maybe the top advertisers anymore, people who were missing their conversion data, or they wanted to implement the Facebook ads conversion API or CAPI as they call it. It can be for anybody who wants to have this back. There's enough data loss that everybody can use it now, especially with Stape. And the future of tracking that's reliable is already here when it comes to doing this. Manisha just showed it to you. Like, hey, let's install the container. Hey, let's look at it. Let's see how much ad blockers blocked what we were seeing. Let's see how much data we recovered. That Stape analytics is so cool because usually when you try a new technology, you end up wondering if how do you prove it? How do you prove the ROI? How do you prove like what's wrong? It's pretty straightforward. Like if they recover 7% of your hits just from ad blockers, and conversions and so on, then they're giving you evidence that this is worth it. And then you can just extrapolate it. You can just do the basic back of the napkin math. And there's pretty much an ROI no matter how you look at it with how they've priced it. They even have a free tier of Stape. So now the next thing is, like, we only have so much time. So how do you actually implement this thing? Manisha showed you she's implemented this. All the screenshots, she's got the receipts on doing this thing, and we're doing it. She's giving you examples of what's happening. If you want to do this yourself, you have three options. You can just do it yourself. Learn this stuff, watch every webinar you can, get the docs, go work with, take the Stape API or the Stape MCP server, install it on a Mac. Or if you're like really into living dangerously, install it on Windows. um,
That
you
was
know,
hard.
but you can just do it, right? And I don't want to be like the fear monger here and saying you're going to risk broken data, but yes, there's a risk of broken data or not getting it right because you don't have the reps that the Manishas do, that Dan from Stape has, that Fred Pike has. Okay, do it with you. That's learning with MeasureU. I'll just say that we do it with you. You can learn with our experts. You can learn with Stape. You can learn with some other people that I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. Step-by-step guidance in the form of a course, confidence as you implement, live Q&As to get all your questions answered, and a level of support that nobody else in the world can promise. The way that we've set it up, the support we can do with you at MeasureU. And then there's also just done for you services. And now we've quoted this out for some customers, and I've talked to other people, and a lot of people are charging something like $5,000 just to get set up with server side. And then this is for a little bit more complex setups. It's not just like the one-click install or whatever. But then there's that monthly ongoing to make sure it works. With this type of technology, you don't want to just set it and forget it. I mean, I've always advocated against setting it and forgetting it with anything involved with analytics, but it's even more prevalent here that you don't want to do that. So if you want to work with an agency that specializes in this, a lot of them hang out in MeasureU. A lot of them exist inside MeasureU. You can check them out, okay? We recommend done with you. that's why MeasureU exists. That's why we're able to do these webinars. We are an education company. We are an implementation company. We help people implement these things with our select clients. But for the most part, we are an education company. We exist as a community to elevate the measurement world and the marketing world by making this stuff more accessible and to make it a best practice, not just a idea that's out there. So working with us is the fastest path without breaking things. You get to keep full control because you end up creating the result. You just have the safety net and the expertise at your side. Expert support and live answers. We provide that in our community, and there's other support channels as well. And you can take it and you can make yourself invaluable. So I'm guessing some of you are service providers, meaning that you're a consultant, a freelancer, you have an agency. Some of you are doing this for your company. Both of you can be invaluable for this in getting it together, because if you can be the person who recuperates 30% of your conversion data and you make your ROAS go from 3x to 10x because Facebook's being fed now with actual conversions and they're able to get this stuff going, then you can see a demonstrable ROI. And even if you're not heavy advertising, there's still a return on doing this. And that is just that peace of mind, that certainty, not having to deal with all these questions that derail you. Like, hey, why doesn't this number in GA match up with this number on Facebook? And we're going all in on server-side tracking in a few different ways, okay? Because we're sick and tired of marketers wasting weeks setting up servers with Google Cloud. I can tell you, I did a server-side course or a workshop at Data Driven U. Some of you remember me from Data Driven U before we merged into MeasureU with Simo Ahava. And it was great, but I honestly got so lost while he was setting it up. And I tried to do it myself a couple years ago before Stape was out, and I got lost and it was really hard. And I think a lot of people tried it a few years ago and maybe got lost and then haven't come back to it. Same things with Amazon server and Google Cloud Platform. So it's not just the setting up the server, but it's all these different headaches, clicking around, figuring it out. It prevents a lot of people from even trying. You get stopped dead in your tracks. Platforms are for technical people, not marketers. Now, I'm technical, but I'm not there's different levels of technical. And sometimes technical is a badge of honor, and sometimes technical it interferes with what you want to get done. This is what I mean. Is if being technical is interfering, then we got to get around that. And then sometimes confusion about implementing it without setting off a chain reaction, not knowing what you don't know, not knowing what's going to get in the way. So if you want to do server-side tracking, it's not on your side or if you want to stick with client-side tracking as Manisha defined, time's not on your side because privacy laws are making it worse. Browser updates aren't slowing. Every day of bad data is lost money for advertisers, especially. So why would you delay it when there's a proven return on investment if you're an advertiser? Advertisers are seeing that return on investment. We showed you the receipts from Stape on that. So we are doing something that we've only done one other time before, and that is that we are producing a workshop series along with a vendor. So we are doing something called the server-side blueprint, and we are doing it with Stape. Okay. And so the fastest way to implement server-side tracking, as we proved here, and as pretty well known in the industry, is through Stape. Okay. Stape is the gold standard. And MeasureU has partnered with Stape to create what we call the server-side blueprint, which is a comprehensive deep dive into how to thrive with server-side tracking, how to do server-side tracking. And as you can see on that little box, I'm sort of burying the lead a little bit here on everything that's included, but there's a lot of cool stuff included in here, and I'm going to unpack what each of it means. But the first thing is, what is the server-side blueprint? And at its core, it is a 6-session workshop series where you're going to be learning how to do all kinds of different things, all that you need to do inside Stape, taught by expert instructors. So some of the instructors are on here. Okay, we have Manisha, who just gave the presentation. She's our lead instructor on this and our lead technical marketer and technical lead at MeasureU. Fred Pike, who I taught him Google Analytics about 10 years ago, and he's now become the person who's teaching me stuff, which is really cool to see it go full circle. Fred's just a stellar guy, and he's co-teaching this with Manisha. And everything is helped out and underwritten by Dan from Stape. So Dan's been involved with every step of the way, making sure that we're doing it the exact way that Stape recommends it, the way they intended it. We are finding some stuff inside of Stape that breaks and goes here and there, but we've got an all-star team together in order to teach this program. And so even if you've been dabbling in server-side on your own, even if you've done this a few times, you're going to learn something by getting this new perspective. And I love what everybody's saying in the chat. Like Fred rocks, Fred's wonderful, Stape is gold. That's awesome. It's really cool to hear. Makes me proud to have been around long enough to see every one of these people thrive in their role and see them teaching these advanced courses as well. So what are the 6 sessions? Sessions 1 and 2, you're going to master the fundamentals, and then you're going to be deploying on session 2. Okay, so you don't have to deploy on session 6 when this is over and then wonder if it worked or not. By the end of the first week, you're going to be deploying, and guess what's going to happen by that time? You're going to have time to let it breathe, let it marinate, see what's happening, see what questions you have, ask the questions live at the end of the session, and then you're going to be able to come back in week number 2, and you're going to get make your tracking better. Custom loaders, GA4 bypass techniques, first party cookie stuff, same origin setups. And then in session 4, which is the second part of the second week, you're going to learn how to do meta ads, get CAPI in place, get all these different configurations in place so the ads start working better, offline conversion tracking, all kinds of stuff. Stuff that like sounds really cool on paper, but it's like now you're going to actually learn how to do it. And just think about it. If you just fed this conversation into AI and said, "Hey, how much should I charge for this service that this thing is teaching?" It's going to be worth so much for you to get clients that certainty that they're looking for, or to get your company that certainty you're looking for as well. And then again, you get the questions and answers at the end. Then you get to come back the third week. So it's a 3-week time period that we're doing this thing. You get Google Ads server side. So your Google Ads is in there as well. Professional management and monitoring as well. So like basically, how do you turn this thing into something that you can get going on over and over again? If you want to do multiple client management with Stape and their agency program, I believe it's called that. Manisha can correct me on that one. But if you want to get into the point where you're actually like a partner of Stapes, you're going to learn how to do that as well. So this isn't just like a one-off thing. This is basically how do you bolt this on to your existing business model or turn it into a new business unit for yourself. Or if you've been doing it, but you've been undercharging for it or you're underconfident, we're going to get you there as well through these 6 sessions. Okay. Not only that, but as I mentioned, every single session ends with an open Q&A with the instructors. So you get to watch how they do it. You get to see everything that's happening. You get to work alongside it, and then you get to ask questions in a live Q&A. As always, people have been asking this question about this training is like, is it recorded? Yes, it's recorded. Yes, you're going to get the training recording, but also for the 6 sessions, you're going to get lifetime access to those session recordings. And then when we update them, you're going to get access to it as well. This will become a fixture on MeasureU. So inside of the MeasureU platform, it's going to be both a live space during the workshop itself, and then it's going to be moved into a course that you can watch at your own pace over and over again as you want to go and implement things. The recordings of the Q&As will be in there too, and you're going to have access to all of that. This is also a certificate program. So when you're done, when you pass, when you do all the sessions and you prove that you understand what's going on by passing the different assessments we have, then you are going to get your server-side certificate of completion as well. So if you need that to get reimbursed, you'll be able to get reimbursed as well. And finally, we have implementation community. So inside of MeasureU, there will be a space related to this workshop, to the server-side blueprint, and in there will be conversations, and you'll have access to that as well. So you can ask questions, you get access to everybody. We're all going to be hanging out in there, looking to see what questions come up. You're going to see what questions happen from your peers as well, because this is really a cohort program. So anybody in your cohort who's implementing maybe before you, you can learn from their mistakes, you can learn from their successes, and do that as well. Plus, one-of-a-kind guarantee. You could do if you do the first 3 sessions and you're like, yeah, this is not for me, and you're not feeling confident, and you ask us like, hey, how do I do this thing? And you're talking to everything and you're using the functionality there, and you show up and you put in the work, we'll give you your money back. You just got to tell us at the end of the 3rd session, like, hey, this isn't for me. You get all your money back on this one. Now, in the past, when we do a vendor-led workshop with this many sessions and it's this comprehensive, we charge $999. Okay, so we've charged that for other workshops before. We've had a lot of people join it and love it. But since we're working with Stape on this one, you're not even gonna have to pay half of that. Okay. So the server-side blueprint, here's what's included. I just mentioned these things. You get those 6 live implementation sessions. You get the open Q&A with instructors at the end of each session, lifetime access to all the recordings, server-side certificate of completion, and the implementation community. And so normally this would be $999. That's the retail price. That's what it's going to be once we're out of this launch window, because this is the first time we're doing it, and we want to get people on board, and we want to get people to really learn how to do this thing. For a limited time only, we're charging less than half of that. So $479 gets you the standard server-side blueprint. Okay, and you can see now, you can go to serversideblueprint.com and get signed up. And I would love if you go over there and go ahead and get signed up if you want to do the fast track, because it's basically it's going to be giving you the answers to what you're looking for, and it's going to be a revolutionary and revealing program for you. The other thing is that it's free if you're part of MeasureU Pro. So we have hundreds of people who are in our MeasureU Pro program. It was formerly called the Accelerator. It's gone by a few names over the years, but if you're a MeasureU Pro, it's just free. You'll get added to that space. You'll be able to attend the live sessions, and it's as if you paid $479. You're in there. Okay. Now, for the first time ever, we have a second option, and that's for people who want a little bit more support. And so you can also join the executive fast track on this. And when you do that, you get a private Slack channel and priority support during implementation for 6 months. Okay, so you sign up, you get 6 months of priority support and private Slack access. So you can just cut the line and get answers right away. We do a lot of our support and everything in Slack. You're going to learn more about it, and you're going to be able to ask questions in there, and then also benefit from the people who are implementing right away, right inside of there. So if you know you have a need for this thing right away, you will go forward. For those of you who are in MeasureU Pro, Jessica says, do you need to sign up for anything? We will be adding everybody to the program and adding you as if you had just signed up on serversideblueprint.com. If you want the extra support and you're in MeasureU Pro, there's an option for you too. Just email our support team, support@measureu.com, and we will give you a coupon to join the executive for only $418. So just the difference. That one, because, so it's just $418 for all MeasureU Pro members. You could sign up for MeasureU Pro right now and get this and everything else we have as well. If you're interested in that, you can just find it on our website at measureu.com/pro, and it should take you right to that page. So if you've been on the fence and you're wondering what to look for, we're going to be doing more of these workshops to end this year and into next year. And the value of the workshops alone will probably be somewhere around $5,000 or $6,000, and you're getting it all in MeasureU Pro, and it's only a fraction of that price to join MeasureU Pro. So if you're interested, go ahead. Now, the catch with the executive option is that it's limited to just 10 participants. Okay, so we're going to hard cap it at 10. We're not sure we can handle more than that. And so we want to ease our way into this. It's our first time doing it. So only 10 people can get that executive option. So that's the catch with that one. And so you can either choose standard or executive fast track. And either option, I think, is really a good option for you. You just have to make a choice as to whether or not you're learning this for a future project or an immediate project. Now, again, I've seen people charge $5,000 just for the setup. And you'll be able to do that with the executive fast track, of course, because you're getting tapped in and learning all these details. Now, if all this did was give you clean, reliable data, help you deploy server-side in days, not weeks, and save you from Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud Platform headaches, would it be worth it? I think so. I know it would be. I'm certain of that. But that's not it, okay? There's more. And so how could we make this offer even better? Like, it's not over yet, folks. It's not even close to over. Now, if you got to leave on the hour, I'll try to show you everything by the hour. But we wanted to make this the most valuable program that we've ever given at MeasureU in the history of MeasureU, DDU, and measurementmarketing.io, all of it, okay? And so we were like, how do we make this more valuable? And one of the ways we thought we'd make it more valuable is to bring in a fan favorite, Simo Ahava, to do a private Q&A session. So Simo will be joining us in October to do a private Q&A session. This will happen after the full blueprint is done, so after the sessions, so you'll have your questions lined up. Of course, you'll already have been able to ask them of the instructors, of Dan, all of that. But Simo's going to be there as well. And actually, there's also a session with Stape as well beyond this. I don't think I even put into these slides. I forgot to do that. So there's another session that I forgot to put in here. So there's another one with Stape as well, so a private one. So you get the ones after each session, and then there's a Simo one, and there's a Stape one as well. Plus, I'm doing some, I'm calling it a super secret thing. It's not that secret, but I'm going to be doing something in November about how to charge for this. How do you charge for the service? How much can you charge? How do you put a proposal together? Answering any questions you have. Remember, my background is in an agency business development role and a technical marketing role, and I've done pretty well at it. And I even wrote a book on it. I have this book called Service Stacking that I wrote, and I'm going to show you how to do it for this particular service line in November in an extra bonus session. And so that's perfect for you if you're tired of explaining things. Um, if you're want to deliver measurement systems, if you're ready to position yourself as the expert, if you have clients who are spending a lot of money on ads and you want to be better at AI and automation, it's not right for you if you don't really have a good use case for this. And we totally get that. Not everybody on here is like, I need this thing right away. That's expected. But if you say yes, I need this right away, then it makes a lot of sense. And if you ignore server side, you're going to be falling behind, and your clients are going to be wondering why you can't fix it, and they're going to go find somebody who positions themselves as being able to fix it. And you can get all that certainty, all that comfort, all that knowledge, that new skill for just $479. Okay, just by joining the server side blueprint. Again, we were going to charge $1,000 for this up until about a couple weeks ago, and then we were all like, "Nah, we want this to be accessible to everybody." And so we settled the price of $479 to make sure that everybody has a chance to join this and learn it and to take advantage of it. Okay, now I said this is going to go a while. I have one more thing, and I think this is truly the one more thing. And this is tying everything back together from the presentation that Manisha had. We started off this training talking about MCPs. And, the Stape course has been in the works for about 6 months now. So we've been talking about this. We've been working with Stape for about 6 months now to get this thing ready to the point where it's kicking off on September 15th. So it's kicking off in a couple of days. But when we started this conversation, MCPs weren't even there. We didn't know about this stuff. So, but we're so interested in MCPs and we're so excited about it. And there's so much community interest. I got 20 plus DMs from people saying they wanted to learn about MCPs when I sent out an email about it, that I said, "Hey, Manisha, can we add something about MCPs in there? Can we add it into the Stape course? What can we do?" And she said, "You know what? I have an idea, Jeff. Okay. We want to explore this breakthrough technology more and more and more." And so we both agreed, both Manisha and I, that we're just going to create a brand new training. It's a 3-day workshop on MCPs. And we're going to run it in October. And we're going to show you everything we've learned. We're going to give you the scripts. We're going to give you our prompts. We're going to give you everything. We're going to help you set up the server, both Windows and Mac. We're going to help you with everything you need in order to get an MCP up and running. Okay. So we do the server side first, and then we'll do the MCP piece. And it's just going to be awesome. Okay. And when you do that, MCPs are going to become your secret weapon. You're going to be able to connect it to things like Sheets, databases, CRMs, GTM, Google Analytics, project management. Your Zapier account can pretty much connect it to anything. Honestly, it's so cool. You can do audits in a couple of minutes. You can automate your tag setup. You can troubleshoot, scale with client management. You can do more with less. And so here's what we got for you so far. So October 14th, 15th, and 16th is our tentative dates. We're locking those in as we speak, but it's going to be around that time frame. We are going to do a 3-day MCP workshop. Okay, we're going to cover how to set it up, how to get it in place, fundamentals, what's Claude code, all that stuff. We're going to talk about the Google Tag Manager use cases. We're going to do some implementation stuff for agencies. We have bonuses lined up with people who are doing MCPs for things like SEO and other stuff. We can't even announce this stuff yet because we're just putting it together, and they're sort of drinking from the fire hose because there's just so much interest and so much value in MCPs right now that we just wanted to get it on the calendar, and we wanted to say, "Hey, we're doing this thing." And the other thing is, we're not going to market it. The catch with the MCP workshop, to be honest with you, is that we're not going to market it. We're not going to create a sales page, no fancy sales page, no webinar, no shopping cart. We're not doing any of that stuff. The only way to get it is by joining this workshop, the server-side blueprint. That's the only way to get it. Okay? The only way to do it. Or if you're in MeasureU Pro, you'll get it as well. So MeasureU Pro gets it free of charge. It's included in your account. Okay? But server-side blueprint is the only way to get the MCP workshop, which some will say is worth that price alone. Like if you can do a GTM audit, you can charge more than $500 for that, for one audit. And you're getting that as a bonus in this workshop. If you can do 10 of them, charge $1,000 each, that's like $10,000 in potential revenue from just the MCP workshop. But you're going to need server side in order to do a lot of this MCP stuff. Okay. So I'm not going to talk much longer. I wanted to get you out by the end of the hour so we can get to Q&A. So this is the final thing that I want to show you is the value that you're getting. You get the 6 live implementation sessions, open Q&A with your instructors, MCP AI workshop, any frameworks and workbooks and stuff we have for implementation along the way, a private Q&A with SEMO, stuff help Stape will help you get your agency account set up if you have that, if you're eligible for that, lifetime access to all the recordings, the implementation community, server-side certificate of completion. My workshop isn't even mentioned in there. That Dan's Stape's Q&A isn't even mentioned in there. The bonuses with SEO people that we have, all these other things we have going on. We got so many things that it's hard to even get on a page. We're like, we shouldn't put all this stuff on the page because one, we want to surprise and delight after they buy, and two, we don't want to confuse you with all the stuff that we have. And so we're trying to give you value, but not to overwhelm you. I'm not sure if I achieved that or not. You can let me know privately if I did that, or you can let me know publicly in the chat. But that is the details that we have here. And so I wanted to get that in front of you. You can secure your spot today at serversideblueprint.com. And I'd love to answer any questions you have to learn, to answer any questions you have. And Manisha might have to jump off, but if you have any questions for her, she'll either get them to you, we can either get them back to you a little bit later, or
I can stay
happy
on
to
for a
answer
few more
questions.
minutes. I have been answering questions in the chat. One question many have asked is, are we going to talk about GTM, how you audit a GTM container in the MCP workshop? And yes, we will. There was some pain in us getting that going, but that's definitely something I plan to cover because that was what made me happiest when I set up the MCP server. And that's actually how I broke the MCP server first. And then Dennis and team at State quickly fixed it. And now it's the thing I do just for fun, is audit containers. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to give me access to their container so I can audit it, go ahead, reach out to me, because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah. And you did put the sessions in there, Manisha, but I think that it's only to hosts and panelists. So I'm going to put it to everybody like when the sessions are.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah. And just a thought on the sessions if you're wondering about that. Like the live element of it versus recorded. Um Obviously everything is best when you can attend live because you feel like you're part of a cohort. You feel like you're part of a group of people. Like there's a lot of advantages to doing that, but that's not mandatory in order to get the benefit out of this. Because of the fact that we have ability to answer questions and in the community. This isn't like a course where you sign up and if you don't attend live, it's over. You get the recordings to everything. You get to see other people's questions. You get a lot of value out of it anyway. And so part of the reason why we moved to the MeasureU platform is to be able to have it so that it's beneficial to show up live, absolutely. But then also you get benefit just by watching the replay. So I know some of you are in places like New Zealand and things like that. The thing is you can still earn the certificate even if you're not able to attend every session live. It really comes down to the assessment of doing it and then showing and verifying that you've put in the work because we want to make sure that the people who get that certificate of completion actually completed it and actually have the skills that they're looking for. So
And
just
then,
want to
yes,
put
there
that down
are,
there.
somebody asked about recipes in the community. Yes, so we have lots of recipes in the community. And then as we develop and as we're working on the state training, we're going to have recipes for that. And definitely for the MCP stuff, we'll release recipes. We want to save you guys the pain of going through like the times I was pulling my hair out or messaging Jeff and just venting at him because I was so irritated with the MCP server at times. I'm like, I'm going to throw my computer out the window. Or
Yeah.
Julie's telling me to calm down and go take a walk. We'll save you that pain that I went through. So definitely there are recipes in the community. Once you
Yeah.
get into the community, you'll see that there's lots of recipes.
Yeah, just speaking on the recipe piece, like what Manisha is showing you is a finished product, right? It's like she's able to do these things, but it's still a work in progress. So we can't just say like definitively, here's how you run an audit.
Yep.
But we have run an audit and we
Oh
have
yeah.
done these things. And once we get it a little bit more polished, which is going to happen throughout the workshop, through the MCP, everything like that, we will be posting that into the community. So you'll have the base prompts. Like if you join just this and you join the MCP workshop, you will get the exact prompt to get it going. We'll paste it into the chat. We can't
Yep.
do that on a webinar because it complicates things. You guys don't have MCPs installed. You don't have all these things yet, right? So that's part of it, but it's only going to improve as we go forward with it. Yeah.
And hey, Stephen just signed up.
Awesome.
Nice. Thank you, Stephen. We're looking forward to seeing you there. I'm personally looking forward to seeing you there. I'm sure Fred is still in the audience. I know he was jumping on a plane midway during this. So Dan and Fred and I are excited to see you there.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see you all. Alex says we're very interested in MPC, but we're nearly there with our state setup. Will the MCB course be available as a standalone in the future? Alex, maybe. I'll never say never, but it won't be this year. We're delivering it in October. We already have another thing going on for our MeasureU Pro members, another workshop for November. So it's not going to be the MCP one. We have, end of the year stuff. We have our Measure Sprint, which is our certified measurement strategist program. Those are all there, so we wouldn't be able to do it until after that, which basically gets us through this year. So we will not be able to. Yeah. Now, actually, there's something that is not in the slides that I should mention. If you sign up for the Stape for the server side workshop, and you decide to upgrade to MeasureU Pro later, we will give you that credit. So you'll get the amount of money you paid for the workshop. That'll be a credit applied to MeasureU Pro. So basically, it's like almost like I wouldn't call it a payment plan, but you just sign up for the 479 now, and you can apply that $479 to the annual cost of MeasureU Pro for the next year. You have a year to do that.
So Dan answered a question in the chat. I also want to speak to it, Jeff. So will State provide a code for their trial period? You can use State for free during the course. You can start with State for free. So even in the first and second sections of the course, I walk you through exactly how to sign up for State, get started, and get your container created. So definitely something you want to consider is, don't worry about paying for State out of the gate. Well, I've actually set it up for clients on the free plan, and once I show them a couple things, we're quickly upgrading their plan. So that's a great thing with State. Any other questions? And thank you, Dan, for answering that. And thank you for being here because it's super late your time. I'm pretty sure Dan's like tired. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah. And there's a question about from Alex about basically saying maybe I should join MeasureU Pro. What I'll mention on that is that this is our roadmap of things we're gonna do. So just if that helps you, I'm honestly like the workshop or MeasureU Pro, I think are both gonna be great. But MeasureU Pro has coming up to end the year, just to end the year. You have the Stape workshop, the bonus
Yep.
call with SEMO. You have the bonus call with Stape, bonus call with me. You have the MCP workshop. That's just the stuff from this offer. We also have our Google Ads course coming up and being updated, and that's going to be done the same way. So it's going to be live sessions, even more live sessions than the server side, with multiple expert instructors who are our
Yep.
MeasureU mentors and MeasureU community members. It's a natural successor to our Google Ads program, so we're completely updating that and running that in October and in through the end of the year. We have somebody, an attribution expert from Wicked Reports, coming on to do a Q&A session as well. We're going to be doing more and more Q&A sessions inside the community than ever before with specific technologies and techniques. We have some cool people coming on board who we're gonna do some more workshops with them. I can't tell you that. I'm gonna do like a vibe marketing workshop, I'm pretty sure. So I created the entire sales page at serversideblueprint.com with AI, and it cost me $0 to get it live. Like hosting fees is like cents on the dollar. Paid no technology fee to do this thing. I created the entire website and it works, and for basically free. So I want to show how I did that with using vibe coding. Also the copywriting with vibe marketing. I'm going to show all these things. That's going to be something we're looking to do in November. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If your biggest problem is having the website asset, we're going to be doing that as part of MeasureU Pro. Maybe we'll sell it standalone, maybe not. We have our Measure Sprint that's going to kick off the new year in January. Julie Brody, who's our lead instructor, is going to be running that one, and it's going to be incredible. We're really upgrading our catalog to be a little bit less meat and potatoes, focusing on GA4, Tag Manager, like here's how you get to these things, to really more the advanced use cases that consultants can use in order to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. And so MeasureU Pro is really becoming for professionals who want to have professional solutions and get right to the answers. And then that community aligns itself with that as well. So that's just a little bit of a reason why you might want to join MeasureU Pro. If you're like, hey, I want all that, just join Pro. You won't regret it. You buy it for the year. And then the server-side blueprint is a nice alternative as well if you just want to get there, because you can always sign up for Pro later on. So I just wanted to differentiate that because that was in the comments. So
Jessica's also saying, Jessica is actually a longtime member of ours. I've worked with Jessica a number of times. Jessica, we've been on multiple calls together, and we've been back and forth in circles. She recommends it highly. And then I see, Stephen, you have an issue with your Stape account. Definitely reach out to Stape. I see Dan's already helping you, but he's also saying you can create a free plan. So I go away and do that. And yeah, Jessica, you've known us for a while. We're happy to have you part of the community. She's a great value. She's a great member back there. And definitely Alina's back there. Guys, Alina is one of the instructors for Google Ads. She is awesome. Hands down. Like when I have anything with Google Ads, I'm reaching out to Alina or Trevor or Keith. And these are the instructors, and John P. These are the instructors we lean on. Um, that uh, that Jeff mentioned.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if there's no other questions, then yeah. Okay. Guillaume says,
Yep.
really interested to discover the MC features from Stape. Worked with adding well so far. Awesome. Honestly, if you have any interest in MCPs, we're gonna over deliver on that one. On the bonus workshop, we're actually gonna have bonuses on the bonus. We're gonna be doing a lot of stuff, sharing our experiments because we see this as like survival and really what's going to differentiate agencies is the ability to have a quote unquote agent or a quote unquote thing that connects the dots, right? A go-to piece that does that, but using the data that you have, using client features and everything like that. So over at MeasureU, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff on MCPs. Everybody's interested in it. We're getting all kinds of comments on it, and there's not a lot of great training out there. So we're going to create that great training the market needs. So if that's interesting to you, this is your entry point. That's what I can say.
So somebody just asked, how long does the session take? If you're asking about the server-side sessions, they're about an hour of content, and then we're going to have Q&A, like an hour and a half accountant. Everything's going to be recorded, so you can definitely watch it again or watch it for the first time later. And then, as Jeff mentioned, there's going to be different points where you can ask questions. Dan's going to have his own Q&A. Simo's going to have a Q&A. You can also ask questions in Circle to Fred, myself, and the entire mentor community and the Circle community. So, the sessions were an hour and a half, depending on which session we're in. The first ones are shorter. The last ones are a little longer because we're doing more content.
Excellent. Well,
Oh,
I think this is great. So, Guillaume says, do you have any partner program for agencies? I will, yeah.
I'll let Jeff take that one.
No, I think this is for state.
Yeah, for Stape has one. We are going to teach that in session 6. And Dan's going to be there as well. And yes, they do. Yep. So Stape has it, and we're teaching exactly that in session 6. Any other question?
Awesome. Christian says very useful. Thank you. Yeah, I this is awesome, guys. This is a lot of fun and a lot of really good people on here. Some familiar faces, some new faces. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Support
Yep,
at measureu.com. And then check out that website as well, serversideblueprint.com. And looking forward to having a few more of you sign up and join us on the workshop. So we'll see you all soon.
definitely. Pleasure, guys. Take care.
Thank you.